Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. This is week 34 of Project Life. Better make sure I get that right, shouldn't I? And today I am going to work with one of my Citrus Twist mega kits. Now, this is basically just a conglomeration of all of the leftover bits of kits. I'd say there's a good 6 or 7 months in this kit. I have another one. This is just one of two. And actually, I've probably got enough months of kits to go ahead and make a third one. So if you want to see my process for doing that, then leave me a comment down below and I can film that for you. But otherwise, let's just get on with the week. So in this kit, there are all of the same elements that are in the individual Citrus Twist kit. So I've got papers and cards and 4x6s and 3x4s and all of this jazz. So I'm going through picking out, or at least trying to pick out, what I kind of want to go with this week. I had one spot in there for journaling, but I actually really loved that little 3x4 quote card, and it kind of went pretty perfectly with all of my photos this week. Lately I've been feeling with my photo taking that it's just been a bit or certainly at the point where I was taking these photos I was feeling that way. So what I did was I ended up taking a class from the Awesome Ladies project, 7 photos, 7 stories, and it was 7 prompts, each like 1 prompt a day for taking, just pushing your photos just a little bit. And I loved it. I had such a great week taking photos, and I'm just really happy with how these photos came out, despite the fact that they are all a little bit dark and not maybe as like bright and colorful as I would love them to be. So I wasn't quite sure like what direction I was going in. You can see me going through the cards and the papers multiple times, pulling things out, changing things around. And I think in the end I had actually really enjoyed having kind of warmer toned papers with them. This kit, however, didn't have a whole ton of those. So what I did end up doing was going and pulling out the other mega kit that I was talking about, and I'm going to find a few papers in there. So I've got that lovely warm toned peachy coloured quote card, and I used a stripe that had a few different colours in it, so it wasn't all just totally warm colours. And then these 2 4x6 cards that I'm going to pull out for my title card and my photo down here are from that second kit. Just something a little bit warmer to contrast with that really blue sky photo down there, and just tone in the rest of those photos. However, this yellow floral, I did kind of want to just tone it back a little bit, because I've used that quote card in where my journaling spot was. I want to use this card down here just to add a few little words. It's not going to be a super mega ton of journaling, just enough to fill in the spot here. So to make that a little bit easier, what I did was grab another one of those 4x6 cards. I just picked a pattern that I wasn't like super fond of and flipped it over so I can use the white on the back, and I've just trimmed a bit. It wasn't too technical. I trimmed a bit from the long edge and the short edge, so that when I pop that on top of that pattern card, it just gives the pattern still peeks out, but it's just this tiny little frame. I'm adding kind of a title here with a couple of stamps, weekend recharge, and then I just gone ahead and typed my journaling underneath. I just ran that straight through my typewriter. Now to give this card a little bit more kind of texture, I added a tiny bit of adhesive and then stitched all around the outside with my sewing machine. I love that stitching look, and then I can just pop my photo on top, and that gives me a little bit of color down the bottom, but mostly just a spot to add a few words, but also some nice texture in there, which I feel like I haven't done for quite a while on my Project Life. Now I'm going to keep this spread pretty simple, and because this mega kit has like a ton of stamps in there, there's going to be a lot of stamping happening. Like I said, these are all just bits and pieces from random Citrus Twist kits over several months, and I don't even think any of them are from this year. So I can't give you specifics. Most of this stuff is all totally sold out anyway. I'm sure you have a bunch of stamps in your stash that you could recreate this kind of look anyway. So the bottom 4x6 card down there, it had this perfect little spot just to add a couple of sentiment stamps. And this 3x4 card, the background paper that I've picked is kind of busy. I liked that it had those warm and cool colors. And I've got this tiny little photo here of us feeding some ducks. So I'm just going to add that on there. And I didn't need to add a whole lot of embellishment. There were these kind of, they're not really card, they're kind of cardstock stickers. They're not chipboard, but they're thicker than just tiny word stickers. And I picked up a black one in the end just so that it would stand out off that busy background. I was definitely planning on adding some of those puffy sticker hearts because one of the things I love about this mega kit is it has that whole sheet of puffy sticker hearts in there. But in the end, it was just a bit too busy, so I didn't add any of them. Now there was the perfect stamp set in here for my little cozy photo here. It was a kind of a rough week and it ended on a good note, I think. So I ended up buying a new sort of cozy blanket and I had a new candle and I cleaned the house and just felt a whole lot better. So the stamp set there was just totally perfect for that kind of at-homey vibe. And there were a couple on there that says currently and getting cozy, and I thought they were perfect for this photo. I just didn't really have a space directly on the photo to stamp them. So instead of that, I've just added a couple of labels, stacked them up on top of each other. I did pick out some warmer toned ones and just stamped on those, and it gave me a little bit of space to do the stamping. You can read what the words are and just covers up some of the empty space on my photo. Now on this 3x4 photo, I've got almost exactly the same problem. There's a stamp that's just totally perfect and I don't really have anywhere to stamp it on the photo. However, I don't want to do that same technique again. I don't want to add any more labels. So instead I just grabbed a scrap bit of paper here, a scrap pattern paper. It kind of goes with the color scheme. It's yellow, bit bright, bit warm. I stamped the stamp on it and just trimmed it out so it's really tight on the stamp. And then I'm going to stick that on top of my photo. So I've got this little pattern paper strip with the sentiment on it. I don't think I've really done anything like that before, and I love how that worked out. I just really wanted to highlight that stamp. I didn't want it to get lost on the photo, and it also doesn't cover up too much of my photo. I like how it kind of peeks out underneath it as well. So that worked out really nicely. Now I realized I hadn't actually opened up this wee baggie of die cut pieces in here. You can see there are a ton. I've tried a few. I quite liked that fun one, but in the end I've gone with this. It's kind of a tickety kind of looking thing. I mostly like it because it's yellow and it gives me a little spot on there to kind of explain what the photo is. We've been doing these fun little treaty trails with Lil around the house, so I hide her away, lay down all her little treats, and then she spends a few minutes wandering around the house using her snout to try and find these little treats. And so I had taken the photo of that. I added the label on there, and I had just gone ahead and typed treaty trail on there, and then I actually stitched it onto the photo again just to add a little bit of stitching on there. I've added stitching once. I want to do it more than once. I'm going to end up adding 3 bits of stitching on here eventually. So I'm moving on to my title card, and I'm just going to keep this super simple. The one thing that these mega kits kind of lack are the alphas. Well, not even necessarily the alphas. They lack E's, to be more precise. There are very few E's in these kits, so putting together titles for Project Life becomes a little bit more difficult. So instead of trying to work out how I was going to spell out week 34, I decided just to grab my MADISON alpha stamps and stamp them. I can fit 3 rows of words in here, you can see here, and I just spelled out the word 34 since there are no numerals with that set. Now I'm going to add another little label in here just to put my date stamping on. I picked a blue one to kind of contrast with that really orangey. It's actually 2 tones like pink and orange coral kind of color. It looks orange here on camera. I wanted something to contrast with that, so I grabbed this light blue label, stamped my date stamp on there, and then again to add that little bit of texture, I'm just going to pop that through my sewing machine and just stitch on the label. It's not a huge amount of stitching, but it's enough to kind of tie it all together. And that is this week all done. I love how this turned out. I love those mega kits. So like I said, let me know if you want to see the process of how I put them together. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. If you want to keep watching, there are a couple more videos on screen. Otherwise, I'll see you next time. Bye guys!